The education system is broken massively. Massively. And don't get me wrong, there's very well-meaning people in the education system. If your child gets to age 7 and they haven't read yet, and if they don't know how to read, it's going to be so difficult for them. Did you know 30 million adults in America are functionally illiterate? 30 million! That's 10% of our population is functionally illiterate. What does that mean? If you were to look at like Google Maps and read directions, it means that they can't actually read that and comprehend that. Now, people get really good at coping with this, and they find ways to get around it, but it's ridiculous how many parents are unaware of just how poor our reading levels are nowadays. But what that actually means is if you don't have effective reading abilities, that means you're going to struggle with getting a job. That means you're going to struggle in class. It's going to affect your self-esteem, your self-confidence. And here's the best part about it though. We can fix that. We can absolutely 100% fix that. And what we do for families is we have a reading assessment and a whole diagnostic test. And it's based on the US Department of Education. I'm not interested in talking with a parent who just wants to justify the situation and just dig in and think they have it all figured out. But I'm very interested in people who are open-minded and they genuinely want the best for their kids, and they're really starting to see through. Because with the work that we do, my kid in about a week can learn more than another kid can in a month or two. So the timeline, it's compressed and it's accelerated for what he can do. It gets me going because this is my purpose, this is my passion, is I really genuinely care about this next generation of kids and making sure they're set up for success. So again, we're looking at the state of the world and what's happening. It's ridiculous what's happening.
Mitchell, why this and why now?
Yeah, so as a parent, this is by far the most important thing to me because I got 2 kids myself and I'm looking at the state of the world. So the founder of LinkedIn, his name is Reid Hoffman. He came out with an article earlier this year and he said that by 2034, all 9-to-5 jobs are going to be extinct. That's in his own words, you can go look it up. And so when I'm seeing Reid Hoffman, who's a billionaire, saying that, I see Elon Musk talking about this. He's talking about having 3 robots for every human, okay? As a parent who has kids that are young, I'm looking at where's the world going to be by the time they're, 25. Is traditional education going to cut it anymore? Of course not. Of course not. And, your kid could get straight A's. They could even go to Harvard or Columbia or one of these schools and spend 40 grand a year. That does not guarantee their success nowadays. Not to mention all the peer influence. So this is why I'm so passionate about what we do with our education group, is because I'm looking at the state of the world and I'm looking at what's happening. Because if a kid can't pick up any book and read it, if a kid can listen to a lecture, if that kid can understand it versus not understand it, who's going to be in a better position as the world's rapidly changing? So there's a guy named Johnson O'Connor. He came out with a very interesting set of research. He was a US Air Force researcher, and then he got employed by Harvard, and then actually General Electric. So back in the day when General Electric was like the Amazon of the day, they kept facing turnover with their employees because a lot of their employees couldn't keep up, right? You think about when the light bulb came out, and then they start putting electricity in homes. About half the employees could not keep up, and they had to get fired because of the rate of innovation. So they hired Johnson O'Connor, they brought him in, and they were studying, they were saying, okay, what makes our employees adaptable? They tested everything to see what made these employees more adaptable. They tested background, they tested income levels. Out of all of the different factors, there was only one that made any difference, and that was the amount of words they knew on a vocabulary test, which is pretty interesting because you think about it, if you've never heard of electricity, right, or nowadays, if you never heard of, AI or large language models, if you know a lot more words and you can use them and you can put them together, you have way more ability to learn and to innovate. So for us, for my wife and I, what we do is 15, 20 minutes a day with our son, and he's noticeably advanced. We get compliments now consistently of parents coming up to us, and the parents saying, hey, your kid is smart, or your kid, I've never heard a kid use words like that, and our kid's 2.5. Now, this goes way back to me 5 years ago. So I found this education group, and one of the kids, his name was Max. He's the child of the founders. At the time, he was 3 years old. So I'm interacting with a 3-year-old, and this 3-year-old is straight up asking me questions. He's asking me about what kind of car I drive. He's asking me about what kind of fuel it uses. And he's still a kid, but the level of confidence he had and how he could look at me and, interact with me, that blew my mind. And I asked his dad, I said, okay, so is your kid one of these just special smart kids? And he just looks me dead in the eye and he goes, no, man, this should be normal. We need to make this normal for every kid. And that always stuck with me. It was like a seed that got planted for me. So if your kid is in school, okay, but let's make sure your kid is not just getting straight A's, but that your kid is also confident. They can stand up for themselves. They can see through stuff. So I was talking to another lady earlier in the week. She was telling me how her kid is now getting exposed to TikTok, and there's other kids at school that are fighting, and she goes to a nice Montessori, she has a kid in a nice Montessori school, but the kid is still getting exposed to this stuff. And so it's you can have a smart kid, But if you're not able to educate the kid in the home and be able to explain things about life, because education is so much more than just, memorizing information. Education is so much more than just knowing, science and math and all that. That stuff's important and it's really essential. But a real education too is explaining things to your kids like values, ethics, how to be a good person, how to have confidence, how to talk to people, even things like body language, how to read people. All of those skills can be absolutely learned. And here's the coolest part. You can do it systematically. And so that's what we do with our education. It's a really innovative model. It's unlike anything else out there. It's not some game. It's not some, fancy, new style. It's actually more fundamental than that. It's a way for the kid to learn about 15 to 20 minutes a day. And then they can get their whole lesson done. But here's the point. It sticks. Yes, adults can use the program, but that's a separate conversation. This is specifically for parents who are very interested in making sure that their kids have a superior level of intelligence while still maintaining, that fun aspect of childhood. Like, I'm not interested in my kid sitting inside reading books for 8 hours a day or studying his lessons or, sitting at a computer doing lessons for, any more than maybe 10 to 20 minutes a day. But here's the thing. My kid can be very smart and then still go enjoy all the wonders of childhood. So there's a couple stories in particular, and I'm sure we'll be able to, put them in this video. One is a girl named Seneca. So she just turned 6 years old, but there's a video of her when she's 5, and her mom is just asking her, hey, can you read to us, right? Just to put it on video. And this little girl gets to pick out the book, and she's reading literally a high school school level book. It's Isaac Asimov. He's a science fiction writer, and the movie I, Robot comes from that. You just watch the video and you can see she flipped to a random page and she can read that, but then she can interact with you about that. There's another kid named Max. He's one of the first kids that I met through this community. And when he was 6, he was explaining something called logic puzzles to me. Okay, so this kid, he started with playing with circuits and building little robots and everything. He's learning it. At a certain point, he got so good at this, he's learning logic, which is like the branch of mathematics that deals with computers, which I didn't even really know this. His dad was explaining it to me, and then I have a little 6-year-old explaining this to me. There's a video, if we can find it or at least have a picture with Max, he's building what's called these logic puzzles. And he's giving them to me. He's like seeing if I can pass them. And I was shocked by that. There's another girl, Arya, and she just turned 7. So she started for her. So she's homeschooled, right, with this group, and she does her lessons every day. But with Arya, it was so cool. She wanted to make a book, and so she was writing herself her own book, and then her mom helped her realize that, hey, we could actually package this up. Now she has her own little publishing company. She's published 2 books, and she's able to sell them for $15. So now her parents are teaching her, hey, we're gonna get supplies, and then the labor, and then the mailing and all that. So she's learning how to create revenue, how to have expenses, how to build a business at 7. Well, this was at 6. What's so cool is now my kids are learning from her. And so you have this whole new generation of kids where we look at some people like, Elon Musk or, Jeff Bezos, or these people we'd consider as innovators, right? It's fascinating because when you actually study them, you listen to their interviews, they'll say that they read a ton of sci-fi when they were kids. They just read and read and read a ton of books. It's Warren Buffett as a famous saying, right? Warren Buffett, one of the richest, most successful business people in the world, the investor and philanthropist, and that Warren Buffett read every single book on finance that was in the local public library. And this is by 3rd grade, he read all of this. Now, that's great. Okay, cool. So he can see patterns, right? He was a smart kid. Here's the thing. There's just a handful of these adults that are really smart. Imagine now when we have 1,000 kids in our community that all have that ability to pick up whatever book they want, So they get their lesson, right? They get the standard academics that they need to learn, but then we can also foster their interests. I'm not interested in telling my kid, hey, this is what you're going to be when you grow up. No, I want him to be able to figure out what he wants to do. And I'm going to empower him, but I'm going to make sure he can pick up any book on the subject. He can watch any, talk on it. He can learn anything he needs to learn. That way he's ready for the future. So he's not going to be concerned about, I just want to get a good job and, get my pension. He's going to be looking at hey, how do we solve cool problems in the world? What do I actually want to do with myself? That's from my perspective, that's real parenting and that's real education. And I realize not every parent is going to be in the position where they can, homeschool their kid or anything like that. But I do know that any parent, again, whether you're already homeschooling and you're on that track and it's great, or whether you're homeschooling and it's a struggle and you're not sure what programs to do, or your kids are in school, but as a parent, right? From one parent to another, I know you want the best for your kids. But here's the thing. You got to be able to get them the right tools and that right ability to learn. Because at a certain age, they will grow up and then they will change. They will change how they learn. They'll change from being that sponge to then going more into memorizing facts and memorizing information. Our most important thing as parents is to teach our kids how to think and how to learn, and then to also get them the right education process so that way they can be learning the right things and they can excel. It's funny because he'll spend about 20 minutes a day actually doing a lesson. And then the rest of the day, he's with my wife, or sometimes I'll take him out and we'll go, out and we'll go learn in the world, but it's not like academic in that way. He's getting more academic support than some of these kids that go to school for 8 hours a day. It's the thing we've been looking for. It's really the thing we've been looking for as parents, where we know the education system's broken and you might be thinking about it, you might be hoping about it, you might even be praying about it and going, I know my kid needs something. Whether my kid's already advanced and you just want to make sure they can stay advanced, or your kid is actually struggling. They're behind in reading, they're behind in whatever subject it is. Because typically kids, they might excel in a few areas, but they might have some weak points. Our job is to get them the right foundation so that they don't have the weak points in their education. And it is 100% possible. So what should someone do if they're interested in this? Is we do assessments and we can get connected, but it's something that you have to apply for, because I take time away from my family. Like, I've done fairly well for myself. So it's not like I need to do this. However, I also see that I need to do this because my kids and our local community has amazing potential, but we need a lot more families who are kind of like-minded, because just a handful of kids are doing good. It's only that's still limited. What I'm interested in is that the most people possible can give the best education to their kids. So with that, you can apply, and then you answer a couple questions, things like that, and then I'll either give you a call or a text or email, whatever works for you. But then we can go more in depth into what it would look like if you're interested in hearing more about this, because there's a couple tools specifically that can help massively with the learning process. And I'm a living testament of it. My wife is, my kids are, and it is the most fulfilling thing ever, because I can go to bed every night knowing that every day my kids are getting smarter and I'm building the right community around me, and we're going to be ready as the world is changing more and more, and there's more instability in the world. The best way for us to be prepared for that is to be really smart, but also have the right basis, like the right values, and to have families and community built around that is priceless. Okay, so yeah, if anyone's interested in that, just click the link below and then you can apply, and then I'm more than happy to share with you what we've seen work really well, and then we could kind of create a customized learning plan. So if you see that it makes sense for you as well, we could talk about the next steps.
I don't remember asking your opinion about this insidious life I'm living. What you think I should do with my time? You say my politics don't sit well. I should do something about this long hair.
Which letter is
I don't see
D?
you doing anything much more.
Yeah. Can you find the number 8?
List. J. Yeah, J.
Nothing. Tackle. Word. A little. Cry. Tape.
Wow. Let's see. That was fast. How many?
What is 4 plus 4?
8.
What is 5 plus 1?
10.
What is 3 plus 3?
6.
I, that's right. I. T.
Could you try spelling the word shop for us?
SHOC.
Wow!
Okay, what about this one? And this one? And this one?
What is 1/2 of 1/4?
1/8.
What's a tenth of a tenth?
100.
Wow.
Hey, that's too easy. Increase.
Increase, can you spell that?
Yes. INCREASE.